Karo more Toma bina ke doyalo jagat samsare Patita pavana tu Tabaya avatara O samapa Tita Prabhu Napai Veara Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balakana Karo Ami Bodo Duki Doya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nita Aha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunata Bata Juga Sijivaha Prabhu Lokanata Doya Koro Siyacharya Prabhu Sinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Toma Vina Te Doyalu Jagat Samsare Toma Vina Te Doyalu Jagat Samsare Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Panchatattva, 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 Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Visupad from Saparibhaj Srimad, His Divine Grace, Silabai Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitla Lila Prabhista Om Visupad from Saparibhaj Ashto Tarasati Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Visupad His Divine Grace Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Visupad His Divine Grace Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Om Visupad His Divine Grace Srila Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shrup Shanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sujiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Manamai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktabinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gopimanande, Hari Hari Bom. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyat. Hare Krishna. So this morning we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lila, chapter 14, Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes, text 33. Atma lokaita prabho balila tanhare Age kena iha matana sikale more. Atma lukaita prabhu balila tanhare. Age kena iha matana sikale more. Atma lukaita prabhu balila tanhare Age kena iha matana shikali more Atma lukaita prabhu balila tanhare Atma lukaita prabhu balila tanhare Age kena iha matana sikali more Atma lokaita prabhu lila tanhare Age kena Atma lokaita prabhu balila tanhare Age kena iha matana sikale more. Matajis. Atma lokaita prabhu balila tanhare Age kena iha matana sikale more. Atma himself, lokaite, to hide, Prabhu, the Lord, Balila replied, Tanhare, unto Sachimata, Age, in the beginning, Kena, why, Iha, this, Mata, my dear mother, Na Shikale, you didn't teach, more, unto me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord replied to his mother, why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning? Purport. If from the beginning of life one is taught the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monistic philosophy will not bother him very much. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source, Janmadi Asha Yataha. The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly as the sunshine. The original energy emanating from the sun exhibits itself in variety as light and heat. One cannot say that light is heat or that heat is light. Yet one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy of Achintya Veda Aveda, inconceivable non-separation and distinction. Although there is an affinity between the two physical manifestations, light and heat, there is also a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Se Guru Se Juta Padakamalang Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavanesvare Vishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Atma Lukaite Prabhu Balita Tanhare Age Kena Iha Matana Shikali More. The Lord replied to his mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning?" So the story goes that Nimai, young Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started to eat the broken pots containing the prasadam, pile of broken pots. His argument is that there is no difference between these pots and the foodstuffs. And Mother Sachi, no, there's a big difference. The foodstuff is not the dirt that you are eating. If that is the case, then why people will get sick if they eat the dirt pots, if they're the same. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching us through Mother Sachi about the fallacy of this Mayavad philosophy. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us through Ramananda Roy these different teachings about Varnashram Dharma, or about this different esoteric relationships about Krishna and the gopis, or Krishna is like this. He would teach through his devotees. So here, he was asking Mother Sachi, why you did not tell me this in the beginning? Because this is the process in Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, the child, starting at the age of 5, is being taught in the Gurukul. Gurukul means the school of the spiritual master. And whether one is son of a king or son of a pauper, they'll be sent to the Gurukul to be taught the values and how to perfect one's human form of life. Now, even Prahlad Maharaj says in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th canto that now is the best time to learn about Bhagavat Dharma, now that we are young. Because early age, one can be able to learn easily any kind of education or knowledge that one needs to know. Like, for example, if you teach a child any kind of language, he can easily or she can easily understand and learn it so quickly than an adult. So this philosophy, this Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variegatedness, should be taught right from the very beginning. Because when the child is not learned this, unfortunately the modern education is not teaching this. Because the modern education, specifically, they are teaching about mainly atheistic philosophy, that there is no God and everything is one. In the Gurukul, the philosophy that's being taught is that there is a Supreme Lord and we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme and we are His servants. The teacher or the spiritual master, he lives by his example, and what he teach, he also act. Is what you call walk the talk or talk the walk. And this is how the students learn. Jai Sisi Radha Parthasarthi Lalita Visakha Sisitaram Lakshman Hanuman Gurnitai Guru Parampara Ki Jai. The teacher, because the students and the teacher, they live in the same area or they live in the same place, that the students, they can tell from the teacher that actually he is genuine. And so there is a bondage. The relationship is strong in such a way that love develops. That whatever the teacher says, then the students follows. And they learn by this way. Unlike the modern day education, they only see each other during the daytime, and when they go home, the students go home and the teacher goes home, they don't know what's going on. What they teach, they don't exercise or they don't do. So in this way, knowledge that's being disseminated from the teacher through the Vedas, from the Vedas to the students is very clear, and they can understand it. They can apply it in everyday activities. So this process of assimilating knowledge that's given in the Gurukul is called Avaroha Panta. Avaroha Panta means is descending knowledge coming from the Supreme Lord Himself. Unlike nowadays, the process in the modern day academic institutions is Varoha. Varoha Panta means ascending. Descending means coming directly from Krishna, just like the knowledge that we are receiving from the Bhagavad Gita. So, the best way to receive knowledge is from the Supreme Lord Himself, because He is the supreme knowledgeable personality. All the knowledge comes from Him. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, who is none other than Lord Krishna Himself, even though it says He is Namo Maha, I offer my obeisances to the Maha Badanyaya, the most merciful incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He's not incarnation, He's Krishna Himself, but in the guise of His devotee, Srimati Radharani, to exemplify how a devotee should serve the Supreme Lord. And who else can exemplify that except the greatest devotee, Srimati Radharani, and in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he gave this knowledge of Achintya Veda Aveda Tattva. Achintya means inconceivable, non-difference and oneness. Veda Aveda. Tattva, truth. In this knowledge, in this truth, in this tattva, we'll be able to understand the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth easily. He combined all the different teachings from the different sampradayas, whereby it'll be able for us to easily understand who is Krishna. Krishna has unlimited energies. Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva Shiyate Savabhiki Balakriyacha. Mainly categorized in three major sections or energies: that of the internal energy, Antaranga Shakti; Tatastha Shakti, that means the jivas; and the material energy or Bahiranga Shakti. Simultaneously we are also one and the same as, or none different than Krishna, because we are parts and parcels of Krishna. Mama Baimso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Like Prabhupada gave an example of fire. The sparks emanating or coming from the fire is none different than the fire. Because the fire has heat and light, and the sparks has heat and light as well. But the sparks are small fire. And when the sparks is separated from the fire, then it loses the quality of heat and light. It becomes ash. So similarly, by studying the nature of the living entities, we'll be able to also understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord being Satchit Ananda in nature, full of knowledge and bliss, but unlimitedly also. He is unlimitedly and always. Unlike the living entity, we're also Satchit Ananda in nature, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternal. But somehow we've been covered up, being under the modes of material nature. Material nature also, one in difference, it says that Krishna is present everywhere in his creation. Krishna's energy is none different than him. This material energy is also part of Krishna's energy. This is also divine, this material energy, because it emanates from him. But even though this is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, sky, this is gross, right? But this is not Krishna. The transcendental form of the Supreme Lord, that is the difference though. It's like the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. Because Krishna is present there, there's no difference between Krishna and his Archa Murti, or this Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. So, the original energy is exhibited in different varieties. It's like there's so many varieties here in the material world. In the spiritual world, there's also full of varieties. It's not that in the spiritual world there is nothing. There is some conception like that in different religions. That in the spiritual world is like only God has, like an old man sitting on a big throne, wearing a white cloth with long white beard and white hair. Wrinkles also, because he's the oldest. But no, if he is Navayovanam Cha, if he is the eternally young, he's eternal, he doesn't grow old. Even the 4 Kumaras, they're like eternally like a 5-year-old boys. What to say of the Supreme Lord? And if here there's a lot of varieties of activities, just like we work, we play, we eat, we sleep. In the spiritual world, it's like that also. Here, there's day and night. Of course, in the spiritual world, it says there's no need of light. There's no need of moon. There's no need of sun. But it's every day is full moon. So, this original energy emanating from the spiritual world from Krishna himself, just like the sun, the heat of the sun and the light of the sun coming from the Brahma Jyoti, and the heat and light of the Brahma Jyoti is coming from the transcendental effulgence of the body of the Supreme Lord. So this reflection that we see from the sun, the heat and light, actually is coming from Krishna himself, indirectly through Brahma Jyoti, and then from Lord Krishna's transcendental form. The Mayavadi philosophy is that they said that everything is one. Everything is one. There is no difference between God and us. That when we become self-realized, we'll understand that we're also God. That is not true. There is never a time, even through so many austerities and so much sacrifices and rituals and chanting of many, many mantras, that one day we will become God. God is always God. God does not have any competitor. If God has a competitor, that means He is not God. There's only one. Nityo nityanas chetanam chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. Right? Out of many unlimited living beings, there is one singular, one living being who is providing everything for the other living beings. That's why his name is Janardhana. Janardhana means one who is maintainer of every living entities. Right? You don't maintain me, I don't maintain you, we're all maintained. We're all subordinate. Ekala Isvara Krishna Ara Savra Britaya. Krishna is the only supreme and everyone is subordinate. We are predominated. There is only one predominator. Okay? There is only one master. Param Isvara. We're also Isvara in a sense. Prabhupada says we're also a small Krishna. But there is one supreme, big Krishna, Nandana Krishna, Yasodanandana Krishna. That is our nature. So this philosophy of Achinta Veda, inconceivable non-separation and distinction, is so perfect that we'll be able to explain the nature of this world and the spiritual world, the Supreme Lord and us perfectly. Nowhere you'll be finding this kind of understanding about the truth or the tattva. In the Mayavad philosophy, they will say that when the sunshine comes into your room, the sun also is there in your room. How can that be? If the sun is in your room, you'll be burned. That's true. The sunshine, when you see the sunshine, you can understand, oh, the sun is there. They're still separate. The object and the reflection of that object. There's no difference. But there is difference at the same time. You cannot say that the sunshine is the sun. There is no separateness, of course, of the sun and the sunshine. But the sunshine is not the sun. You understand? So similarly, we are also parts and parcels of Krishna, but we are not Krishna. We have the same quality of Krishna, but Krishna is of unlimited quality, quantity. Quality, same. But quantity-wise, Krishna is unlimited and we are minute. Anu and Vibhu. Unlimited. So similarly, this material energy, this place where we are right now, we are in this material world, also is part of the kingdom of God. In the kingdom of God, there are two parts, the spiritual world and the material world. But the material world is governed by the three modes of material nature, where one can be covered up. We're all disease in this material world, and our main disease is forgetfulness of Krishna. We're all disease, but in different levels, different degrees. Some are in the recovering state. Some are already recovered. There are two kinds of living beings also in the material world. There is what you call liberated souls and conditioned souls. Liberated souls are very rare. Unlike the conditioned souls, they're all pervading. Practically 99.99%. And if you can find one of these liberated souls, one can be also liberated by following his instructions. So, material energy is none different than the Supreme Lord, but at the same time, it's different. Because the material energy cannot cover the Supreme Lord. The living entities can covered up by the material energy when we identify with this body as a self. When we identify with the body as a self, then we suffer the threefold miseries, or the fourfold miseries: birth, death, old age, and disease. Or the threefold miseries means miseries arising from the mind, the body, miseries arising from other living beings, and miseries arising from natural tendencies. So, this process can be easily understood, especially when we chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord. If we perform Bhakti Yoga, one can be taught this in a university or an educational institution, but if one does not practice this process of Bhakti Yoga, then one will not be able to understand this. Because when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one is put into transcendental position, spiritual position. There are some professors who knows our books inside and out, like the Bhagavad Gita. They can quote all the Bhagavad Gita, they can teach Bhagavad Gita, but they don't practice.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. On behalf of the temple devotees, we like to welcome His guest Bada Haridas Prabhu, the senior Prabhupada disciple. Hari Bol.
Hari Hari. Swagatam. Swagatam. Bhagavatam. So, this philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's inconceivable non-separation and distinction is so perfect. Even a neophyte student in Krishna consciousness, if he understands this, easily he can defeat anybody. In argument, you wanted to defend your logic. And there is another one which is defeating the logic of others. Two ways. In argument is like this. When you argue with a person, either you defend your statement or you defeat the other's statement. By this Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, you can do both. You're just not defeating others, but you can defend also our philosophy, or you can just defend our philosophy. You don't have to defeat the others. But by be able to convince a person, it is best that one perform Bhakti Yoga. Then what you say has potency. It's not hollow. There's no vacuum. Because one may just read this, but if you don't chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra attentively, sincerely, then it is just like theoretical knowledge. One must have realized this knowledge. And because if one chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day and do practical service at the same time, then one can realize that this philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually is real. We're not here to study this just for the sake of knowledge-wise. We're here to study this to realize it practically by applying it in our everyday activities, especially when we deal with each other, with the devotees, and when we talk with others, not just devotees, but others. So if you use this philosophy, you'll not be able to be defeated by anybody. It is very balanced. The Mayavad is only one way. It's my way or the highway. It's only one way. But for us, it's balanced. Yes, you're right, but you are not saying the other side of it. And they don't accept the other side. They only accept their side. So that is the advantages. And this is not word jugglery. It's not word jugglery. Word jugglery means they're very expert in, using words or statements, and it sounds very, very, highly, very attractive, but same time, there is no substance. But for us, easily. When we say, my dear sir, why don't you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and be happy? Guaranteed. But you must try it. If you don't, then what can we do? Prabhupada always says this, you please take to this philosophy, you please take to this knowledge, and definitely you'll get benefited. But you must try it. So we're very fortunate somehow or other. It is not by chance that we are under the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, that we have come in contact with this family of devotees. We're so fortunate understanding this knowledge and applying to ourselves. So it is our duty also to do the same thing to others, to tell others of the same, and make others' life perfect. But first we have to perfect our lives, and the process of making our lives perfect, and by telling others about this same knowledge, then also our realization of Krishna and ourselves also develops and progress. The more we tell others about this knowledge, then the more Krishna gives us the knowledge to understand our real nature. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Any questions? Maharaj, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Maharaj. So here the verse has two meanings. According to word meaning, Atma Lokaite means to hide himself. The Lord Chaitanya, he is hiding himself, that he is the original source of knowledge. But in the translation, Prabhupada gives another meaning of the verse. That, Mother, you are hiding.
Why are you hiding?
Yes.
I know everything, but you're still hiding to me.
Yes.
Because you want to teach others by this story, by this example. Yes. This is for our own benefit. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya knows all of these things already. So why is still concealing this? But the main thing here is, it should be taught from the very beginning. It should be taught, this knowledge, from the very beginning. Because if this is not being taught in the beginning, then because the whole world is brainwashed by the scientists, especially. Our greatest opponent in convincing the whole world about the nature of the absolute truth are the scientists. They're the number one atheist. For them to see is to believe. But you cannot grasp this. You cannot see this through your eyes. You can only see this through your ears. Because this knowledge is being received through aural reception. This knowledge is like that. The knowledge that's being given by the spiritual master to the disciple is through aural reception, through faith. Scientists, they don't have what you call faith. For them is experiment. If they see the result, then they believe. But they don't see spiritual. You don't see spiritual thing, but you can feel it. So, yes, why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knows this all the way through. So he is teaching through example so that we learn through this story. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Maharaj, thank you very much for allowing me to ask a question. My question was in the purport, you also mentioned it now, Prabhupada says in the purport about how this knowledge of duality and separateness and similarity should be taught from childhood. Those of us who are born in India have unfortunately been exposed to this impersonalism from a very young age, and therefore consequently getting into devotion at a later age. How is it that we protect ourselves from this impersonalism that is within our consciousness, even after getting into devotion?
How to protect ourselves even after joining to the movement. It is very important to understand the equality of everyone in the eyes of Krishna, that we're all equally also the same in the eyes of Krishna, but we all have our own identity. You are unique. You have a unique relationship with Krishna. I have a unique relationship with Krishna. But our relationship may differ in how we are closer to Krishna. Practically, we should respect every devotees, young, new, or senior, Mataji, or young child. We should try to understand that they are all devotees of the Supreme Lord, and each and everyone has their own relationship with Krishna, that they all have each and every individual relationship with Krishna, that they serve Krishna accordingly to their capacity and their ability. Don't criticize anybody. Don't envy anybody. Let's say that another devotee has a higher position than you are, for example, which means his responsibility is much more than yours. Don't envy that devotee. That devotee has just given more mercy, and that devotee wants to do more service than you. But whatever you're doing, do it the best. Let's say you just sweep the floor or wash Lord's plates. Do it the best. Make it shiny. Isn't it? And your offering to Lord Krishna has been accepted. Just like the devotee who has more responsibility than you is doing the best he can, Krishna is accepting that also. And a devotee who is just learning, who just new, you give respect to that also, that maybe someday he'll be a better devotee than yourself. So don't lose that vision that each and everyone is a unique individual. We all have service to Krishna to do, and no one is higher or greater or lower. But one can become more intimate and closer to Krishna. But that doesn't mean, even if you're far, far away from Krishna, that you are not dear to Krishna. Actually, the one who is the last, Krishna sees the most. And the spiritual life is like that. The more you do more service, and you may not be visibly being seen in the forefront, Krishna can see you and wants to see you more. So act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you, not that you want to see Krishna. See, mostly devotees in India, when they have darshan, they go real close to the front, right? That's not darshan means. Darshan means you can be way near Garuda, and Parthasarathi can see you over there. That is my devotee. He's sacrificing, he's so much austerity for me. Then the person who is so puffed up, he's in the front. Is that okay? That is individuality and variety. We're all together, but at the same time, we're all individuals in the eyes of Krishna. Turn it off or what? Let's turn it off? No, it's on.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a question. Prabhuji, some difference between Brahma Jyoti and sun shining or not? Both are same.
What's that again?
Brahma Jyoti and sun shining, both are same or some difference?
Brahma Jyoti, this is again, the Brahma Jyoti is coming from the effulgence, body effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Okay, the Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual world, there is light. That's coming from the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And the reflection of Brahma Jyoti is the one that we're seeing from the sunshine also. You understand? Fire is fire. Fire is fire. The light, the heat and light of the fire is there. If I have a mirror and the reflection of the fire goes here and it goes there, but it may not have the same intensity of heat and light. So that means in the spiritual world, it's much more brighter than this. That's why when Lord Krishna and Balaram would go to the houses of the gopis, they will see without any lights because their bodily effulgence is emanating throughout the whole room, that they can see where the butter is. So don't try to grasp it with your mind. You will not be able to do it. It's not possible. How can we understand that these deities of the Supreme Lord is none other than Krishna? How can we understand that Srimati Radharani is there? It's none different than Radharani in the spiritual world. You have to increase your faith. by association of the devotees and chanting more Hare Krishna Mahamantra without any offenses constantly. And don't offend any Vaishnavas. Then your faith will increase more and more and more and more. That's how you'll be able to understand this. Otherwise, not possible. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
ग्रंथराज श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की
jai. Achinta Veda Veda Tattva ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.